Yeah, Daniel, what do you think?
And it just, when we were starting out, there were a lot of insurance company sponsored.
Which company are you with?
Motion Auto.
Okay.
There were a bunch of insurance company sponsored accelerators.
Mm-hmm.
And if you looked at the contracts of those acceleration of those programs, you had absolutely zero control. You got completely locked in. Basically, they wound up owning you if you decided to go through that process. And we found that we didn't have any partners that we could actually work with in our space. And so we decided to build everything from the ground up. And it's painful, but to do the things that we really want to do, we didn't have a choice. So, at least in the auto side of the industry, getting that kind of collaboration is probably a ways off, from my own experience.
Yeah, Louis, then.
Do you think that you have to, in order to have true innovation in the insurance space, that you have to break the stranglehold that the TPAs have on the carriers? Because they have no interest in streamlining anything. In fact, it's a huge conflict of interest what they have. They get paid a percentage of the replacement value, and then the biggest ones are also development companies. Again, they want that invoice to be high as possible. They have no interest in actuarial accuracy from underwriting, and they have no interest in streamlining claims, and they use that leverage to make sure that pilots don't end up in production. Do you think that needs to be broken in order to truly innovate in insurance?
Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead. Yeah.
So TPAs are great to work with, but some of them are willing to open up integration points for their systems. I'm on the health and life side. I have a software service platform for call centers, particularly for insurance. I don't have any partners. I don't have any startup funding, bootstrap. We make good money, doing well, we're growing, all from referrals alone. Been operating 5 to 10 years. 5 years with the system and 10 years in insurance. We're not brokers. We're not any of that. But because of that, we're also data neutral, right? So I've used that as an advantage for people to work with me. So what's happened is, like TPAs, we work with guys at A1 Healthcare, Health Insurance Innovations. These are pure TPAs, but they have APIs. They have access controls. And what they're interested in is that your brokers are selling more. That's all they care about. They don't want to deal with the marketing, right? They want someone else to deal with it. So, but they'll also screw over their agencies. I've had people losing tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars on the TPA or the carrier not paying them, which is where my platform comes in now, because I'm starting to track the commission data where I can. Right, so my goal this year has been to solve this commissions problem, what you should expect versus what you actually got. All these brokers don't understand data. They don't understand anything, right? But the TPA and the TPAs will take advantage of them. So it's true. But in terms of quoting, making it faster, making it more efficient, they'll work with you from the
Because
insurance.
they want more claims, because that's where they make money.
Right.
But they don't want anything that actually, they don't care about actuarial accuracy. In fact, they don't want anything that has to do with that. They don't want anything that'll streamline the claim process whatsoever. Zero, because they get paid the more time they spend on it. Second, the higher the invoice value is, the more money they make in the reconstruction. Also, they get a percentage of what the replacement value after the adjustment is.
We don't give them a choice.
Huh?
We don't give them a choice.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't give them a choice?
We take all the data, we do the first notice of loss ourselves, and
That's you. That's
Yeah.
your
That's
company.
you. That's not State Farm.
no,
That's not farmers,
we
that's not
have the
nationwide.
TPA. We have the TPA because otherwise, how are we going to have the boots on the ground, right? Especially where we're growing, etc. So we have a TPA. This TPA is national. They are backwards technologically, right? We have a
purpose?
I don't think it's on purpose. I really don't. We have a self-service in-app aspect. The people with boots on the ground have to use our technology to work with us, right? And we process the first notice of loss ourselves, and we get the data, and we make the decisions from the data as to how they're actually doing. So, if they're excited about what you're doing and you can bring in enough business, they will let you institute the controls that you need, both from a customer experience standpoint, which is really the perspective we were coming from. Because the last thing you want to do is to start a very traditional paper-based claims experience when you already have all this data, right? So
No, I get
Yeah,
it.
if you're willing
Yeah,
to
so-
bring value to the TPA, they'll work with you.
But you should be bringing value to the insured and the carrier,
That's
not having to worry
that's not
about
how
the
the
TPA.
business world works, though. That's not what they care about.
That's what
Okay,
I mean,
folks.
So that's my question.
Okay.
Do you have to break that stranglehold in order to innovate?
Okay, guys, we'll continue to talk about the TPAs later. It's fine. We'll just
Let me just make a
we'll
quick
go
comment.
back to
Let
that.
me
It's
just
a-
make a quick comment.
Go ahead.
So, I'll just broaden it a little bit to just say, any entrenched, right? So it could be TPAs, but it could be other things. So, I was telling these guys, right? And I've told a few of this. So, not specific to TPAs, but just in general. So, when I got hired on an AF group, I'll use them as an example, but it applies anywhere, right? It's not specific to them. But one of the reasons was, hey, I'm excited. We have all these initiatives lined up. We got support from her CEO, her board, right? Her CEO, because she was part of a larger, right? We're ultimately involved with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. Everyone's lined up. The C-suite's lined up. Right? We've gotten funded. Blah blah blah. We've got resources in place. All that stuff. And I'll give you just one example, right? Out of many I could pick, right? So one of the initiatives that just kicked off, we were calling frictionless underwriting, right? It's just to kind of look at our underwriting process. 75% of our stuff gets referred to underwriters, somebody's desk. It's way too high, especially for a lot of these small businesses, accounts that we write. There's a lot of pain in there. I won't worry with all the details. So we kick off, we have a summary, right? Just a quarterly summary. Here's the things the innovation team did, what we'll be working on next quarter. We mentioned frictionless underwriting. I get a note back from a very knowledgeable person within one of our brands, right, that's been at the company much, much longer than I do, right? Rob, saw your update on the innovation team. Could you tell me where the friction is in our underwriting process? And I wanted to write back, and I didn't, are you effing kidding me? Like, you're saying we have absolutely no friction in our underwriting process whatsoever, whatever, right? And so it's just that kind of attitude, just in a nutshell, and again, that applies in 1,000 different places and 1,000 different places. So anybody right in the entrenched, so you're absolutely right in the entrenched part. I think there are ways around it, but it is tough going, and I don't have a rule of thumb to say, well, this is how you overcome it in general. If that makes sense. It is a short answer.
So before I take it back to talking about the pilot purgatory, just quick show of hands. Who's here a startup? You're a startup?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
This one company.
Yeah, right. Actually, yeah. You're an MGA, right?
Yes.
Or okay. Brokers, agents. You know. Okay, sure. Has a podcast? Thank you. Just checking. With my accent, I cannot do that. Other corporate enterprise,
That's us.
Investment bank.
investment banking. Oh yes, you're right. Yeah, we can include you as an investor if you like. Sure. Okay, so we cater it more towards the startups and a little bit of sell and distribution. So pilot purgatory, how do we get out of it?
So here's some interesting things, and some of you may already be doing this, so again, this is something I definitely want you to chime in as an audience. A couple things that I'm seeing that I like, not necessarily right from a carrier perspective. I'm still struggling with trying to get my head wrapped around it, I guess, but overall, I'm hearing less proof of concept when I talk to startups and more proof of value. Because when you say proof of concept, this kind of leaves this impression of this
That's
may or may
yeah.
not work, right? This is really kind of out there, we're not sure. And I think startups more and more are pushing against that to say, no, we're mature enough. And again, it depends on where you are in the maturity cycle, but I think that's kind of leaving this doubt in place. And so I think startups are saying, we know our stuff works, so it's more about proving our value to you rather than does my tech or whatever actually work. And so paired with that, what I see is more and more paid pilots, which I like, and I always counsel startups to do that because based on my time at USA, anytime we would do something free and something that I was excited about and I wanted to get resources behind to kind of evaluate to see if we could move forward to production, it was almost impossible when I told them that it was free because it was like, well, I've got all these other things on my plate, I don't have time to look at this, what are we out? Oh. But even if I told them, right, at a $20 billion company, hey, we paid $5,000 for this, they acted like it came out of their own pocket. Oh, well, we paid $5,000 for this pilot. Well, I better get on that and evaluate this, right? So I always counsel startups, never do anything for free, right? There's definitely an opportunity cost, and that matters. So what I'm seeing is more of those paid pilots, right, where startups are kind of insistent on that, but as part of the proof of value, what they're saying is, hey, at the end of this pilot, proof of value, whatever you want to call it with, if you decide not to go forward, this is going to be production ready from day one. And so it is yours to keep and to use. Now, if you want to scale it to actually get a lot of value out of it, that will require additional effort and that will require more money, right? Maybe not a huge amount, to be honest with you. But even if you decide not to go any further, we've actually left, it's not like the pilot ended, because what was happening before is like the pilot ends and you wouldn't always get that clear, like, yep, that worked, right? Or, nope, that failed. Oftentimes it was yeah, that was pretty good. Are we going to move forward? We'll talk about it more, right? And so that's the purgatory part of it. I don't really know where I stand, right? They said it was successful, they said they liked it, and then I'm never going to call back in. Yes, this is very much like dating, right? I mean, it is kind of comical to me, like how much it is like dating in relationships, right? So when you have that proof of value and you're saying, hey, I could walk away, I didn't lose any money on this transaction, then now I've left something of value, so you know, your people are going to be using it in 3 months, 6 months, a year down the line. If they say, God, why aren't we using this more? Why can't we expand this out to other users or whatever, right? They may call you back. So I kind of like that as kind of a stealth strategy. If you can position it that way to where, hey, if nothing else comes of this relationship, I'm actually giving you something of value that you can continue